Hedgehog Hollow. Happy Monday. I hope you had a good weekend. We've been really busy here at the Hollow filming some studio tours for you and a few other bits and pieces that we've got coming up. And now I have a list of things here that we need to do. So first of all, I wanted to announce the winner of Friday's Happy Mail, and that is Debbie Grulick, or Growlick. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce your surname, but congratulations. Ping me over a message with your address in it and I'll get that Happy Mail out to you as soon as I can. Also, our big giveaway of $100 worth of Stampin' Up! Goodies and some cards and things that I've made in my videos is on its last day today. So you have until midnight tonight to enter, and we will announce the winner here tomorrow as well as on the blog. And then also we're now on Instagram and Twitter. So you can follow us on Instagram and Twitter. We're both at Hedgehog Hollow, all one word. So you can follow us there, and you may have seen a sneak peek of what we're going to be doing this week. And we had 2 other videos that I posted yesterday, so in case you missed those, you can go to YouTube/Hedgehog Hollow, or just look down on our Facebook page to find some videos. There's Patricia Quintas asked me on Friday to make how to tie the perfect bow. That's now on there for you. And also our double dipped, how to do double dip embossing to get an awesome background. So let's get started with this week's video, because I've got 5 awesome cards to show you using the Inside the Lines paper. So I'm just going to switch my and we'll pop you in. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a sneak peek of what we're going to do during the week here. So we have we're going to be doing this one, which looks like the traditional colouring book kind of colouring, but this is super quick and easy. So if you're like me, I need instant gratification. I can't sit for hours and colour as much as I love the look of it afterwards, but this way is super easy. We're going to be doing some glimmer mists of our own. I don't know if the camera will catch how sparkly this is. I made my own glimmer mist, so I'm going to show you how as well. So we're going to be doing that, just adding some nice colours in there. We're going to be doing this super easy watercolor style and adding some nice little ink splatters on the back there. We are also going to use the watercolor pencils, but I'm going to show you a different way to use your watercolor pencils. This gives you, actually you can make paint with your watercolor pencils. So if you haven't seen that, we're going to do that. And I added some nice glimmer to this one as well. And this is what we're going to do today. Super easy, really quick. Each of my cards are all mounted exactly the same way this week. They're on a craft background, which I made of a 10 by 5 inch piece. Then I have a 4.5 inch square of the basic black and a 4 inch square of my DSPs. And of course you can get 9 of those out of your DSP pieces. So the DSP we're using is this lovely Inside the Lines, which is free with Celebration. And there's some poppies in there, there's some plant scenes, there's the traditional colouring book styles, and this pack is worth probably about $15 to $20, and it is free with a $50 purchase. So that's fantastic. So I'm going to show you this one today. I've got my piece ready inside to show you, and I'm going to use the ombre pads because I wanted to show you a slightly different way. Now I like doing this effect with the ombre pads because they fade out nicely, so you get that nice look, so that they blend really nicely together here. And I'm going to use my Calypso Coral, my Rich Raspberry and my Bermuda Bay, and I'm going to use my sponge roller. So I'm going to take the lid off all of them. Now I use the same sponge roller for all of them because I can then just wash it afterwards. So I'm going to go in the middle of the pad, and then I go a little bit up to the end, and I just ink it up as though it was a brayer. So ink it up in that way, and then we're going to go straight through the middle. So we're just going to go over our paper, and if you don't have enough ink, you can go back and grab a bit more. And I'm just going, I just want to do a center stripe, like so. Then I'm going to go for my Bermuda Bay, and this is the end. So if I put it on here, so you can see this is where I got heavy ink, this is where I got low ink. I'm going to switch it around. You don't have to, but I find that you get less ink run this way and you get a nicer blend. So this end of my sponge has a bit of Calypso Coral on it, and this is fairly heavy in the Bermuda Bay, and I'm now going to overlap. And then I'm going to turn it round and I'm going to do the same. And if you need to pick up some more ink, you can do that too. Like so. And then I'm going to go for my rich raspberry, and this is really intense, so it doesn't matter which way round your roller is. And I'm just going to catch my edges. You see you get this pretty purpley colour. I'll put it up to the camera in a second so you can see. So here you get these lovely faded effects, and you can make it as dark or as light as you'd like, but we have this lovely rich raspberry that goes into this bluey greeny colour, then it goes into the oranges which look beautiful, and then you go up into these same colours again. Now all I did with this one was I mounted it on my craft, then my basic black, and I used some Whisper White embossing powder, and I've used the same sentiment set on all my cards this week, which is the All Things Thanks, which I really like. So I've just done that with the white embossing powder. If you've never done heat embossing, I've got some awesome tips and tricks for you. Just search in Hedgehog Hollow's YouTube, which is youtube.com/Hedgehog Hollow, and you'll find that there's a tool tutorial, so like a tutorial but for tools, and that's how to heat emboss, so that's on there for you too. So join us again tomorrow. Tomorrow will be slightly earlier as we have lunch duty at school, so we'll be at 10:15 Eastern time. But I will show you another one of these really easy techniques. We're going to be doing this tomorrow with our spritzers, and we're going to be creating, if you missed it at the beginning, this awesome own homemade glimmer dust powder spray, however you want to call it. So we will see you then. Thanks for joining us, and don't forget to go over to, you can look on the Facebook page, it's the pinned post at the top, and it is the last day of our $100 giveaway. So we'll see you tomorrow. Happy stamping. Bye. I can show you today's card. So again, we're using our Inside the Lines paper, and this is the card we're going to do, and this is a faux watercolor. So if you've ever watched some of these awesome card makers on YouTube, a very good friend of mine is, hi Margaret, thanks for loving us, we love you too. If you ever love people like BB Cameron who do these awesome watercolors, I can't paint like that. I tried last night and that was my attempt. It looks nothing like any of theirs. So I developed this idea because I think it looks like a really good watercolor, but it's super easy. So I'm going to take a piece of the Inside the Lines paper, and I thought that these looked like poppies, so that's why I went for the red. So I'm going to use 3 colours today, so it's super simple. So I've got my real red, my old olive, and my Daffodil Delight that I'm going to use for my bumblebees. And I have my daubers here ready. So I'm going to get out my colours and open up my pads, which is always the last thing I do because I tend to make a mess with them. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to ink up our paper. So let's put these with the appropriate colours. So the first one that I do is I do the bumblebee. And all I do is splatter some yellow in his general direction. And we can get rid of that. Then I do my flowers. So I go red all over my flowers. And it doesn't matter if you go outside the line of the flower because it all blends together in the end. And you just keep going over and over and over and over and over. Like so. We'll call this some nice petals on the edge. There's one there. And then the rest of it I go in with my green quite deep, and I do lighter bits like here in the corner, and then I'll do other bits where I go pretty heavy over the leafy sections. So I tend to go quite heavy over the leaves, and you can keep going back. So the one that I showed you here, I did this, and then I'll show you the next part, and then I went back and added a bit more detail, and you can keep doing that as many times as you like to add as much depth as you like. I probably had about 3 goes at it doing this, and then we're going to wet it and then we dry it, and then you can just keep going back. And then where you've got some white gaps, just take your green and fill those in. And I think there's a little bit of red down here at the bottom that we missed. If you can hear Tilly's toy, I can tell you every single word of that. It's one of her favourite toys. And I also just took a little bit of green into the middle of these flowers, just to make them a little bit darker. And I'm just going to move my pads out the way. And then I'm going to take one of the misters. This is a slightly smaller one than the Stampin' Up! One, but it works just the same way. and you want to make it really wet. And the reason I want to make it wet is these are dye inks, and if you activate them with water, they blend together. So all those harsh edges just blend into one. You can see that's much, much softer. And then I'm going to take my heat tool. I don't know if you'll be able to hear me over it. Hi, Celine. Oh, we're not plugged in. Just a second. I'm going to plug us back in again. You've come unplugged. So I'm just going to go over this with my heat tool. Like this. And you're going to want to dry it till it's fairly dry, because if there's any water on it, it will still activate. And I also recommend, once you get to a point where the front looks fairly dry, we're going to turn it over and dry the back, because then it will dry much quicker. We just want to get that sheen off the front first. So now I'm going to dry the back. And as I say, you can keep going back in, hopefully you can hear me, with your water and your daubers until you achieve the kind of level of depth that you're happy with, like this one. So it will take quite a while to dry, and you can see now when I've dried it, those colours have gone quite light, which is why I went back in a couple more times just to get that depth of colour. But you can do that on yours. I'm not going to do that here on the live. Okay, mine's not completely bone dry, but it's enough for me to move on to the next stage here. So I'm going to take my wet piece of paper out the way. And then the next thing I did was I took my Wink of Stella and I just went over my bumblebee leaves. Yay. And I went over my flowers. Not very carefully, I have to say, but I just wanted to add a little bit of sparkle to the card. And if I show you my one close up, you might just be able to catch that little bit of shimmer that nicely is on there. And then I also, I have a couple of colours of the Wink of Stella. I also took my gold one and I went in and I made a few blobs which look absolutely horrific. But if you grab some kitchen towel, you can pick a lot of that up. And the great thing about Wink of Stella is it's water soluble. So if you don't like the effect you get when you keep going over it, you can keep working it and working it and working it until you get to an effect that you do like. So you can see on this one I worked it and I got these lovely, oops, these lovely little dots in here. And then the last thing I did was I'm going to grab another piece of just scrap paper to use underneath because my other one is wet. Was I added these lovely splatters. Now you can get you can get stamps to do the splatters, but there's nothing better, I think, than getting a really nice one. And I experimented with cocktail sticks, I experimented with all sorts, but what I ended up doing was adding a few dots of my Real Red Re-Inker to my palette. And this is a splatter brush. Now if you haven't seen these, I'll add a link underneath this video to it because I love this. And you just flick it. And it gives you so much control. There are lots of different things you can do with this. That's another whole nother tutorial for you. But if you just flick it, you get those really nice specks. And I'll lift it up to the camera so you can see. There you go. So you can see there I get these really lovely little flecks all over it. And then when you're all finished, it ends up looking like this once you've gone back in a few times. This sentiment again is done with the Matilda. All Things Thanks, which is right here. So all the cards I've done this week, it's white embossing powder on some basic black. And then all the mounts are exactly the same as well. So this piece is 10 inches long by 5 inches wide, and that's the craft cardstock. This piece is 4.5 inches square, and this piece is 4 inches square of the inside the lines. And I've just wrapped it with some metallic threads just to tie in with the middle of my poppies. So thanks for joining us for today. Tomorrow I am going to show you another technique. Tomorrow we're going to do another faux technique. This is the one we're going to do tomorrow. So it looks like I took ages and ages and ages and coloured in like an adult colouring book style, but not at all. This took me less than 15 minutes to do this whole piece, and my daughter sat there for hours trying to colour one of hers in, and it took her a long time to do it perfectly, but I was really happy with the way that turned out. So join us tomorrow, we'll build this one. As I say, underneath this video I will link to that splatter brush if you want to do your own splatters too. So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again tomorrow. Happy stamping. Bye. Now, if you're anything like me, you might want instant gratification, and you do not have the patience to sit there like Maddie does, my little girl, and colour these in. She sits for hours and hours and hours, and it says beautiful colourful pages, but I do not have the patience for that. So I wanted mine to look almost as good as hers, but I wanted to do it really quick and easy, and that is what I'm going to show you. So I have a piece of the inside the lines paper here, and I'm going to show you how to do it. So the first thing we're going to use is we're going to use a dauber. So let me grab one of those out of here. And I chose to use a soft sky. I would suggest using a subtle for this, just because it blends much better. And I'm going to use the soft sky, and I'm just going to grab a piece of scrap paper. There we go. Just so that I can go over the edges. So what I'm going to do is I just went all over with the soft sky. Excuse me. So I am just blending in a circular motion so I don't get any lines. And I want you to go all over whatever your background colour is. I like the blue. And you could just do this all over if you wanted to, and maybe make some ombre or some shaded colours. But this is a really easy way to get the background coloured in, because once you start colouring and then you go in to colour your background, it takes forever. And I found that this was the perfect way to get it all coloured in. So let's do this corner down here. And you can go back at the end and touch bits up if you haven't got enough colour. There we go. So if I bring that up to there, you can see that there's a nice shade all over. And if I show you my finished one, you can see that nice blue background that almost looks airbrushed in the background. Now I'm not going to do the whole thing. A whole one of these takes around about 20 minutes to make. I'm just going to do a corner, and I'll show you how to do that to one corner. I don't know if I can. No, I can't. Ooh. Hi, Wisconsin. I can't quite see it out the corner of my eye. So I'm going to choose a couple of colours. So I'm going to do, I think this is Emerald Envy and some Cucumber Crush on my leaves. And we'll pick out a couple of flowers. So that's the Calypso Coral. And I want a nice, I'll go for some Sugar Plum. So I'm just going to do these couple of colours for now. But you can build up as many colours as you want over the piece. And again, I'll show you my finished one. So let's start with the centre one. So all I do is I very scatterly dab some colour into each of my leaves. Like so. And you can take some of the other greens. But again, it's really scatty. I'm not putting any effort to colour them in. So we'll leave it with that for now. We'll do this here because it's pretty. And then I'm going to take my aqua painter, and I'm going to make sure my nib is nice and wet, because that is the key. And then I'm just going to start colouring. And I'm going to pull out the colour that I put down with my Stampin' markers. And the more water you add, so I'm going to add a whole droplet in here because there's not much water. The more water you add, the easier the colour will pull out. Like so. And I just keep working. Keep working and working. You might find there's a bit that doesn't have enough, so you can go back with your marker and you can pull the colour out. And don't worry about loading this paper up with water. It's really thick for scrapbooking paper. And you can completely spritz it if you need to. So you just keep working at it, keep adding water. Water here is your key. It is your best friend. And then you can just keep pulling that paint out. So then once you've done your leaves, and you'll see I'm just picking up a little bit of extra colour if I need it for some of my leaves. I'm just doing that with the aqua painter on the nib of the pen. Do it that way around. I'm just going to wipe off my aqua painter because I'm going to add some pink. So let's go for some Calypso coral flowers. So I'm going to just do a stripe in the middle of each flower. And the same here, almost like a little star. And we'll do a bit down here. And I'll do a couple in the sugar plum as well, so you can see. And you'll see I'm really not putting any effort into that. And again, I'm going to pick up oh, sorry. If I hold it up, so you can see I've just put some little stars in the bottom here. And I'm just going to pull this out with water. So that will make the colour from the pen bleed. And you can pull it out. Let me see if I can move my tripod down for you. There we are. Is that better? It's about as close as I think I can get it. Is that better, Anna? Francine? Excellent. Right, so let me show you again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up some colour just on the tip of my aqua painter that is really, really wet. So I just brush it across the nib. And we're going to use the colour that we put down just in dots here and there. And we're going to pull it out. So that you end up with these beautifully faded flowers, a bit like the chameleon pens that we all keep seeing. If I keep getting the Facebook ads coming up on my page. And all I did was in the middle of the flowers, I just put a few dots of my Stampin' pen like this. And that's what I'm starting with. So you can move that around. Now I'm not going to finish this. It'll take you about 15 to 20 minutes when I did this panel here, which is my original. And you just keep going round, adding as much or as little as you want. These ones here I coloured in completely with my pen, and then I just took some water to them to give them some different depths of colour. I added lots of diamantes from my sheets here onto here, just at the end, just to give it a little bit of extra bling. And if I was doing it on this one, I'd probably put some diamantes here on these bigger flowers just in the middle, just to kind of bling it up a little bit. And again, I've mounted this exactly the same as the previous ones. Thank you, I see. I'm trying to have a look at the screen at the same time. So I mounted this exactly the same. So this is some craft cardstock. It is 10 inches long and 5 inches wide, and I've just folded it in half to make the notelet size. The sentiment is done with the new thanks, all things thanks. Let me just grab that, which is here, which is all different versions of thank yous. And I've done that with white embossing powder, and then I've just used my banner triple on a 1-inch strip to mount that up there. And my matting piece is 4.5 inches square, and my inside the lines paper is 4 inches square, because I can get 9 of those out of one of the 12 by 12 sheets. So you can get loads and loads of these little notelets. And that's how far we got today. but you can just keep going and have your finished piece just like this as well. So thanks for stopping by for today. Tomorrow I am going to show you this one. This one, you can see how glittery and blingy it is. Really pretty, really easy. So we're going to make our own coloured mists, and we're going to make our own glimmer mist as well. So that is for tomorrow, and we can make it, you can make it in any colour you like. I can show you a different colour scheme. If you fancy one particularly, then leave me a comment and I'll do my best to choose that colour scheme tomorrow. But I stuck with poppies for the samples. So thanks for stopping by. Hope you enjoyed today. Well, I think we got there in the end so that you could see what I was doing, and we'll see you again tomorrow. Bye. So today I have a really fun one for you. Super, super easy again, and I'm just popping you in there, and I'm pretty sure you can see that workspace. So this is the card that I did as the sample that I showed you yesterday, and if I put it to the side you should be able to see there's a really nice lot of shimmer to it. It is actually really, really sparkly. There we go, we can catch it just there. So this is what we're going to do, and somebody yesterday asked me to do it in blues and purples, so I'm going to do that this morning. So this is my piece of cardstock, DSP rather, so this is the Inside the Lines DSP, and I've got some of the little spritzers here. Some are slightly smaller than the Stampin' Up. The Stampin' Up ones are slightly larger. This one I've already pre-made. This has got Old Olive in it, and I'm going to add some rich raspberry to this one. So I fill my mister just with normal water, and I put about 3 or 4 just drops of the re-inker in there, and then give it a good shake. The more re-inker you put in, the darker the colour will be, and vice versa. So the less you put in, you can just get a very light mist over. Now just before I get started, this one has got clear water in it. It's slightly pinky because I had red in it before, and I have given it a thorough clean. And just a tip when you clean them out is to, first of all, fill it up, give it a really good spritz through. I spritz through the entire mini mister to clear out any ink that's in the spritzing mechanism. And just, I'm going to do with plain water onto the piece of paper. This is a top tip, is to, it's slightly pinky, but that's okay, is mist your paper first and make it quite moist before you start spritzing with colour. You will get a much nicer effect than just spritzing onto dry paper, and it also, I think, sticks slightly better. So I'm just going to put some of the Pacific Point into this mini mister, and again just a few drops. Give it a good shake through, and that's just plain water in there. This is another one of those that I suggest you do it a few times, dry it off, go back, keep going. Every time you dry it, it will get slightly lighter. So I'm going to start first of all with my greens, and I'm going to just spritz in the areas where I've got my leaves. And it doesn't matter if you go over because it'll all blend together. Then I'm going to use some of the blues that you requested. So there we go. And now I'm going to add in that purple. And now before I go any further, I'm going to dry it, and then I'm going to go in with some more purple again. So the first thing I do is I put my heat tool to the side and I heat it up. Now the reason for doing that is as soon as you put the heat tool on this wet piece of DSP, is all your colours will move around. So the hotter it is, the less movement you will get throughout your colours. If you like it just the way it is, you can leave it to air dry. I suggest leaving it overnight. And you'll see what I mean now, these colours start to move. So I'm going to be very careful because I quite like this combination. So first of all, you want to dry off the front until the sheen of the water has gone away. And you can stop seeing pools of water on the top of your card. Okay, so my pooled water is no longer there, it's just on my scrap piece of paper, which I'm going to move out the way for a moment. And then my next tip is to dry the back. By drying the back, your front will dry much quicker because the heat hasn't got to penetrate all the way through your DSP. here. Mine is not completely dry. It'll probably take you a good few minutes to get yours completely dry. And as I say, if you want to, you can go back in and you can add in more colours if you want to. But I actually think that's a really pretty rainbow effect. And I'm going to grab my paper here that we used for the water again. And we're going to make our own glimmer mist. So to do that, I have another mini mister, just full of water, again, exactly the same. And I have my Winker Stella. Now this is one that I made earlier, and I'm just going to add some more to it. And what you want to do is you're going to open your Winker Stella and you're going to squeeze. And when you squeeze, little drops of the Winker Stella mixture will come out, and then you can just close it up and shake it up again. And you get this really murky colour, which is quite worrying before you start putting it on your card. But don't worry about that. And then what you're going to do is you're going to start spritzing. Now I found this took me about 3 layers of spritzing, dry, spritz, dry, spritz, dry. So 3 layers gave me this really pretty, quite heavy shimmer, but I wanted that heavy shimmer on there. So you can just see it catching there. So that's my tip for that. And when I was finished, I just took some of the stickles type things that Stampin' Up have, and I put them in the middle of my poppies, just to kind of add that extra little bit of texture to them. So again, this is mounted up in exactly the same way. This is a 10-inch long, 5-inch wide, so it gives you a 5x5 notelet. And I will dig out ready for tomorrow for our final instalment some dimensions if you want to make your own envelopes. But I also found envelopes this size, so I will leave you a link to that in Monday's blog post of the roundups. Your black is 4.5 inches square, your DSP is 4 inches square, and again I use the All Things Thanks suite of stamps, and I did that in the white embossing powder here. And also tomorrow we have one more option for you. Let me just grab that from over here. And this is what we're going to do tomorrow. Now this is using the watercolour pencils, but I'm going to show you how to make paint out of your watercolour pencils and how to add some dimension like this really quickly and easily. A bit similar to what we did yesterday, but it gives you more of that painted look rather than just a watercolour look. So join us again tomorrow for our final instalment. We look forward to seeing you then, and happy stamping. Bye. There we go. How to use your watercolour pencils as paint so that you can get an effect, let's move that out of the way, like this, which I think is really pretty. And this is something I discovered because I was curious one day when I was sharpening my watercolour pencils, and it works perfectly. So I have a piece of the watercolour paper here, I have all my tools, and the first thing I want to do is I'm going to do my background. And again, I'm going to do my background how I showed you the other day, really quick and easy with the soft sky. And I have my daubers just over here. Let me just grab my soft sky out my box. And all I'm going to do is just ink this up. And I'm just going to, and I'm not going to be overly careful, but I'm just going to make sure I get most of that background covered, because it's one thing I hate is having to go back afterwards and be really careful to get my backgrounds in. So I'm just going to go around. As you can see, this doesn't have a huge amount that needs doing, but it does have some. There we go. So that's fine for now. You can always go back and touch it up afterwards. Now, my biggest thing with the watercolour pencils is I recommend you invest in a decent pencil sharpener. This is the Prismacolor one. And I love it. I would again put that in Monday's links for you, but I think it's where the biggest value in your watercolour pencils is. If you've got a nice sharp point, you will get the best result from them. I do have an on-the-fly pencil sharpener in my to-go box, but when I'm at home I always use this one. And I keep all of my pencil sharpenings in little ice cube trays that have lids. I'll try and take a picture over the weekend. Mine's put away in a drawer. And the reason I do that is because I can make paint out of it. So I'm going to pick out, let's do some pink flowers today. because when you sharpen these, you get a little bit of lead that I break off. I put in my little ice cube bin. Or the other thing you can do is you can get pencil sharpeners that have a grater on top for this purpose. That's what made me think of this. Or I use this little chocolate grater, and it is awesome. So all I do is I put my pencil over the top, and it doesn't do any harm to the pencil, so don't worry. But normally, as I say, for my other, I have some Inktense pencils, and I have all my pencil sharpenings that I can just mix up like this. I'm going to add a droplet of water to it, and we're going to mix it up into paint. Now I'm going to mix some in here that's going to be slightly lighter for my shading. So I'm just going to do one over here, like so. And then I'm going to add just a little bit of detail in with some darker colour. Like this. And you can then just start mixing them all in. So I'm going to pick up some of my lighter, fade that out. There we go. And I would keep working this till I was happy with the shading, but something around like that. Now the other thing I'm going to show you is on the leaves. So again, I'm just going to take my green. This one actually could do with a sharpen, so I'll show you what I mean. So I put it in my sharpener. I sharpen away, like this. And then when I'm, there we go. So I sharpen each colour at a time. And what you get in the bottom of your sharpener, all these nice little shavings. And I will take a picture of my little ice cube tray with all my shavings in. And you can mix all of these, Tilly, into really nice paints. And then you can just paint your leaf, like so. And then when you want to go back in, so these are the leaves. And when I do these little leaves, I just paint them all over. And I go back in on the slithery half and I just colour in like a normal colouring pencil. And you can see, Tilly, you can see the nice depth that I get between the two. When I have a leaf like this, I would do the underside darker like this. And then I go round and I just outline. All I'm doing is outlining, nothing more than that. Like so. I'm going to outline this one. And you can see that soft sky background looks really nice. If you're going to do this, I do suggest using a pastel colour. If you use anything too dark, it won't just blend in. But it is super, super easy this way. And it means that no part is wasted of your watercolour pencils. So you can see there, you've got some nice depth and dimension to it. I'll finish this off. And I will add it to the prize pack. So if you didn't join us first of all, I am giving away, so all you need to do is comment below this video when I post it on the Facebook page in a moment with a picture of whatever is on your workspace. So that can be a card, it can be a work in progress, maybe you haven't been card making this week, maybe you've been knitting or crocheting or whatever you've been being creative with this week. Leave a picture below. I have for you a pack of the paper clips out the Occasions catalogue. I will include all of these lovely samples that we've made during the week, so you can mount them up, you can play with them, you can do things like that. I'll finish this one off. I have some pieces of the Inside the Line DSP pre-cut, so you can colour those in and have a practice yourself. And I will send you one of my finished cards as well, as a little thank you for following Hedgehog Hollow. So there's something for you, and have a happy weekend, and we will see you next week for a storage and organisation week, and I look forward to seeing you then. Happy stamping. Bye.